You didn't actually think that Frosty's story would end here, did you? Well, I'm afraid you're wrong. Now, Frosty was about to leave with Santa Claus after saying goodbye to the children and his steam engine friends. But before he would leave, he would tell everyone something about him that no other engine, or child that matter, would have thought about their jolly good snowman.
Goodbye, Frosty. We'll miss you. But we know you'll come back someday. We always do. Thank you for coming back, Frosty. Have fun at the North Pole.
It was great seeing you all. I had a fun time. And of course, I'll see you again someday. Like always.
Take care, Frosty. Here's to our friend. Frosty, what's wrong? There's no need to be sad. We'll see each other again someday. You've made that very clear.
Yes, Thomas, but it's just that. Well, the truth is that I've been feeling more alone at the North Pole than ever. There's no one very special that I could talk to.
The engines felt very sorry for Frosty, and they weren't sure how to cheer him up just yet. None of the engines apparently knew how to help Frosty, for they didn't fully understand. But eventually, all the engines would be able to help out Frosty if it hadn't been for one engine to try and find out himself. Santa, is it alright, before you leave, if you and I could just have a quick talk?
Of course, Thomas.
So Santa entered Thomas's cab, and the two made their way back to Nefford so they could talk. The children stayed behind just so they could try and help Frosty resolve his issue, as well as the engines to keep him company. However, one child had to go home just because he was late for dinner, so Duck offered to take him home. Along the way, Thomas suggested how he and Santa Claus should speak with Sir Topham Hatt, because Thomas knew his controller was willing to help out anyone, including Frosty, because all Thomas could think about was helping the one friend who made Christmas special for him. Santa Claus, Frosty does have friends up at the North Pole, right?
Of course, Thomas. The elves and I keep him company. Matter of fact, we would build snow forts and battle in snowball fights whenever we would have free time. However, I do understand what he means by feeling alone.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, my elves are always busy making toys for all of the girls and boys. They aren't always free to spend time with Frosty. And whenever Frosty would be alone, he would always just go back home. It almost feels as if he never had...
A wife? A wife? Yes, I believe I know why Frosty feels just like that. He claimed we had no one special to talk to, and I felt the exact same way before I met Miss Lady Hat. Before, I was rather sad, lonely, and depressed because I had no one special to talk to. But then on going meeting Lady Hat, and there I was. I felt like the happiest man alive as soon as we met. I felt like I was over the moon, and I felt as jolly as, well, as Frosty himself. Do you know what I'm saying, Thomas? Then that settles it then. Thank you for telling me, Sir Topham Hatt. That's exactly what we need. We need to give Frosty a wife so he can feel jolly again. Yeah, well, I guess that can work, Thomas, but... Thank you so much for the talk, Sir Topham Hatt and Santa Claus. I'm off to go find the children and tell them about Frosty's wife, and I'm going to ask them if they can make her. I'll be back later today. Trust me, you're going to see our jolly good snowman once again. Wait, no, Thomas, hold on. Let's sort this out first. Thomas! Thomas!
You have worked with quite the engine you have there, Sir Topham Hatt.
Well, look, I did order him from the mainland, so perhaps those mongrels must have stuffed his funnel with all these ideas. The children did their very best to keep company to their beloved snowman, as the engines waited very patiently for their friend Thomas to come back. Do you engines think that Thomas has found a solution for Frosty to be happy again? I'm not completely sure, Edward, but one thing I know about Thomas is that when he's determined, and he'll never give up.
Wait, was that Thomas?
Yeah, and he sounds pretty excited.
Frosty! I know what you need to cheer you up! You need a wife!
Oh, what?
A wife?
What's a wife?
A wife is someone who loves you, talks to you, helps you, is nice to you, supports your dreams, gives you advice. Really good at making decisions. The point is, Frosty, a wife is someone who you can trust and someone special for you to talk to.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Can we make her out of snow?
Of course we can, and that's why I had to hurry. I was wondering if you young ones could collect some materials, like women's clothing, something for her eyes, a button nose, and even a wig for her head of hair. And if you engines can go fetch some extra snow. I don't believe we'll have enough in this area. Sure thing, Thomas.
No problem, Thomas. In fact, ain't the kind of where to look for snow.
It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and time, and even though that the stars began to glitter in the night sky, they managed to build Frosty's Snow White.
The children gave her a mop as a wig to represent her hair.
They also gave her bright beaded blue eyes to represent her personality and color, a button nose just like Frosty, and finally, a pink apron. The engines were thrilled and excited, but none were as excited as Frosty the Snowman himself.
She's beautiful. What's her name?
How about Romilda Vane? No! Where did you even get a name like that? Okay. How about Kellogg's? No! Again, where'd you get a name like that? If you're going to pick a name, it must be something that says a lot about her.
I got it. Jessie?
You got the name Jessie from the Toy Story series, didn't you?
What about Crystal? For her beaded eyes be shining bright as one.
Crystal! That's a beautiful name.
Great idea, Salty. Here's to Crystal.
The engines cheered and hooted in excitement. They thought the name Crystal suited her perfectly.
But Henry, the big green engine, soon realized that there was one problem with Crystal.
But wait, you guys, Crystal hasn't come to life yet.
And Henry was right, because sadly for Crystal, she wasn't alive yet, nor had any source of magic ability to. Oh, don't you worry about that, Henry. All we gotta do is just find an old silk hat like Frosty's.
But Thomas, Frosty's hat is a magical hat. Where else are we going to find a hat exactly like Frosty's?
Oh, I forgot about that.
That is when, sadly, all the engines' faces turned from excitement into worry.
Well, she doesn't look as pretty as we probably...
James!
Don't listen to James, Frosty. I'm sure there's a way for Crystal to come to life. Don't let this stop you from what you believe in.
Thank you, George. But I just don't know how.
The only thing Frosty was able to do was to give his beloved Crystal a small bouquet of icy flowers that were right beside him.
Oh, Crystal, I wish you would come to life. So then, we can love and cherish each other forever.
But what Frosty didn't know was that high up above, a star heard his wish. And in that very moment, something amazing happened in front of Frosty, the children, and all of the engines, to which they refer to as a miracle.
Happy birthday!
Crystal! What kept you?
Oh, Frosty, I thought you'd never think of those flowers.
Well then I guess it's safe to say...
We're gonna have a wedding!
A wedding!
It was not as difficult this time, as all the engines and the children managed to find a new area for the wedding. With some extra snow that was brought by Henry and Edward, the children were able to build the stage. Santa Claus and Sir Topham Hatt were also able to make the wedding. Duck was able to bring them after taking Thomas's passengers and bringing the boy home, and he managed to find a spot within the crowd. Both Frosty and Crystal were very excited. The children who stood by were also excited. They couldn't wait to witness the love between their beloved snowman and their new friend.
Now all we need is a priest to pronounce them husband and wife.
Emily? I don't believe we will be able to find one to help us with Frosty's wedding.
Why not?
Well, the person only pronounces husband and wife to those who are human. Frosty and Crystal are snow characters, not humans.
I'm afraid James is right, Emily. It just wouldn't be legal to do so. The engine started to feel worried once again. But that was until Santa Claus had an idea.
Oh, just watch now.
And just as Santa cast the same spell for Frosty last year, there appeared a snow priest right in front of the children. Wow! That's cool! Well, I guess all he needs is the good book.
Here it is. Where and how did you get that? My father pronounces husband and wives all the time. I just had to take it from his office when he wasn't looking.
Okay. And so the boy put the book in the priest's hand, and then...
Happy birthday!
Everything was perfect. Crystal and Frosty stared at each other, eye to eye. The priest was just about to pronounce them husband and wife, as Santa, Sir Topham, the children, and the engines stood by.
I now pronounce you snowman and wife. Two hearts are thrilling in spite of the chill in the weather.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.
Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along,
Walking in a winter wonderland.
In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? They'll say, no, man. But you can do the job when you're in town. Later on,
The next morning had arrived, and Santa with his reindeer and with the priest waited patiently for both Frosty and Crystal. And so were the other engines. But they weren't exactly happy. And neither were the children, only because today was the day where Frosty, Crystal, and the priest had to go back to the North Pole. Just then, Thomas puffed up to Knapford Station with Frosty and Crystal. And Thomas, discouraged of saying goodbye, sadly pulled up to the platform to let Frosty and Crystal out. Thomas always found it hard to say goodbye. Even the other engines found it hard to say goodbye, as it was never easy saying goodbye to someone you care about, especially knowing that it would be another year until they would get to see Frosty and Crystal again. Therefore, the engines and the children already knew that it would be quite some time until they saw their beloved friends again. Just then, the children began to whimper and whine.
Oh, Frosty, do you and Crystal have to go? We don't want you to leave. We love you both.
We're sorry, everyone, but we have to go. We'd be a puddle of slush if we stayed for too long.
Yes, but we're worried if you two won't come back. He's not wrong, because it has been so long since we last seen you, Frosty.
Now don't you be saying that, because you know what I said last time. I'll be back again someday. And besides, I was only gone for 1 year. And look at me now. I'm back to see you after being lonely for so long.
But you won't forget about us now that you have Crystal, will you?
Of course not. Crystal and I will never hesitate to come back to see you. We both love you all, and we promise we will be back again someday to have more winter fun.
When hearing this, the children enlightened with excitement and wished Frosty, Crystal, and the priest the best. And even the engines were enlightened with happiness, as each engine whistled and hooted their cheerful goodbyes. But just as Crystal and the priest were about to get in, Frosty had one more thing to say.
Also, Thomas, Percy, and Timothy, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for welcoming me back to Sodor. And most importantly, thank you for helping me build Crystal. I wouldn't be anywhere near happy without your help.
You are very welcome, Frosty. You are very welcome. And so, all three snow characters got into Santa's sleigh, and the reindeer pulled them back to the North Pole. And I would just like to say to you, yes, you, right now, thank you for listening to our story. Because as of now, we have come to the end of our beloved story, as it is time for all of us to go home. Just like Frosty.